Being bitter, something we all experience from time to time, and it's or sometimes lifelong. Uh, what does bitterness mean? What are we talking about here? Let's just try to define it first. So, if you're experiencing it, something has happened to you that hurt, and you hold on to that hurt, and it rehearses in your mind. You begin to create a generally negative outlook on someone or on your life or on something. Sometimes it becomes cynical, like, everything's ridiculous, nothing matters. It's just all of these things sort of come out of what we call bitter. And it starts by experiencing something painful, something you don't like, something that um, surprises, shocks, betrays, something happens to you. And then you get stuck in a kind of an angry place. You feel disappointment, and part of your heart is screaming, "This isn't right, and it isn't fair." And then, as the bitter to continue to define it, you hold a grudge, and you feel victimized. You don't like it if good things happen to other people or to the person maybe that hurt you. You don't want them to be have a good life, I mean, but there's just this dismal, heavy thing that hangs over you, which we call bitter. Often there's a lot of very critical feelings if the person or the thought or your job or whatever it is comes up. There's just lots of critical feelings, lots of critical thoughts that are going through your head. Bitterness is a function of the heart. All of these talks, these videos are going back to the heart, which is a major part of how we operate and function in this world. Being bitter, the feeling of bitterness, is like any other feeling we experience in our heart. It's pointing at something. And the heart is saying, look at this. So it's an expression of the heart that is trying to get us to look at something. And it's affecting your whole being, and it can become a big part of people's lives, that living their whole life and just simply being and living and dwelling in this place of just bitterness. And it hangs heavy over them, and other people can see it and notice it as well. There's a Bible passage from the book of Hebrews, chapter 12, where the writer of Hebrews says, "See to it that no root of bitterness springing up," where is it springing up? From your heart, "and causes trouble." It goes on to talk about how this bitter feeling we have within us begins to defile and affect the people we live with, the people we're around. But what it doesn't say specifically, but what we see essentially, is that it affects you. Being bitter changes you. You are a different person because of this bitter feeling, this feeling of being bitter, whatever you're bitter at, or there's a lot of things to be bitter at. Um, that really hangs on you wherever you go. When we're bitter, as I said before, we relive, we rehearse all the grievances that have happened to us. And maybe there's a lot of them. They piled up like a mountain, and it seems insurmountable, endless. We just keep rehearsing and thinking about and reliving. Of course, that also comes out in how we talk and how we speak. There's an edge to us. We're unhappy. One of the things that science tells us medically is that being bitter affects our physical bodies. It affects us. That affects our spirit too, and our outlook on life, our being able to be positive or negative. But medical science has been showing over the years that being bitter has a detrimental effect on our physical bodies. I talk about this also in the other channel video that I created called When You Can't Forgive. Same kind of thing happens. The body physically suffers if bitterness stays within the heart. So what does science tell us? Well, what happens when bitterness becomes a part of us, your stress hormones, which come from up here, shoot down, and they're wanting you to do something about what you're feeling bitter about, or get away from whatever you're feeling bitter about. But it's a fight or flight response. And that goes on in a continuous way because the bitterness that's going on in you means those stress hormones are going to keep dumping down into your whole physical body. And that's where it becomes detrimental. These stress hormones are just constantly being stimulated. And you're trying to fight something, but it's like an invisible thing. You can't fight it. It's not there to fight with, or you can't seem to get away from it. So you're in this circle of stimulation, and it affects your whole health. These sort of happens under the radar, even if your bitterness is not being expressed. Your heart is expressing it, affecting the stress hormone, fear centers of the brain, all of that stuff starts dumping. And then things start to happen. But you don't often know it's even going on till you start seeing the physical symptoms within your body. The doctor or just at you realize or recognize these things are happening. So, but we're told in medical science that your ability to stay healthy is weakened. So your immune system. So your autoimmune disease comes from being bitter. Your body is not able to fight sickness. It's being worn down by bitterness. And, sometimes for me, I feel like my back goes out. But there's physical things that happen in this, and you just struggle. You can't really stop it. It's like it's just happening to your body because of what these stress hormones are doing to you. The other thing that they found in medical science that happens is our blood pressure starts rising, which isn't healthy long term. Your heart rate increases, which also, it's tiring and wearing down the heart. But then they list all sorts of physical heart conditions that can develop. And ultimately, being bitter could kill you. It's a serious situation, right? That's all I'm trying to express here. Why we need to, what is it pointing to? What's that feeling pointing to? The other thing that they've discovered is digestion problems start to develop. You have all sorts of them. You also can experience sleep disorders. Sleeping is not replenishing, is just you don't wake up refreshed. And also they've seen muscle pain. A lot of muscle pain seems to develop from bitterness. They've also observed that you age faster. Now you don't literally age. You're still, if you're 50, you're still 50. But the skin ages much more quickly. So a younger face begins to look older, appear to be older. And so your skin shows aging that makes you look older than you really are. So all these kinds of things that medical science is pointing at being bitter, the cause, makes us want to take a deeper look at it and deal with it because it's a heart issue, it's a heart problem. So bitterness springs from your heart of hearts. You were slighted, or you were ignored, or maybe you were left out, maybe you were abandoned, maybe you were abused, maybe you're criticized unfairly. But something happens. People don't pay attention to you, they overlook you. All of these things do something to us. They hurt us, they offend us, and you end up with problems as a result. We just talked about the physical problem, but there's also emotional problems as well. There's another video on the channel called I Act Just Like Mom/Dad. We often find people coming in prayer counseling, they'll say, I'm acting just like my father act. I'm acting just like my mother act, and I didn't like that. And I never thought I would do that. But I'm doing the same thing. Well, being bitter does things to us in the same way. There are issues that happen within us that changes and affects our personality, how we act and how we live, how we treat others. And they're very difficult to change unless you get to the root. Scripture talks about going to the root of the issue. That's what Jesus said to do too. We have to get down to the cause of the bitterness and address it. You want to learn about all the bitter reactions, and this other talk that I had on why I become like mom or dad is a really helpful one, because it does show some of the reactions we have that begin this cycle of changes within us and in our personality. The first remedy that I guess is the solution to being bitter is to forgive. You can be bitter because whoever you wanted lost the election and you absolutely hate the one that's there. There's all sorts of things, but it's a bitter reaction. And you don't like what's happening, you don't like what they're doing, you don't like this, you don't like that. There's all these critical things flowing out of you, or towards the person that hurt you, slighted you, whatever they did. Or maybe you're even bitter at yourself. What in the world do I cause myself all this trouble for? Or we blame God. You're the reason all this is going wrong. Why don't you care? Why don't you do something? Bitter. Happens to everybody from time to time, but it can become a thing, a real thing that you live with day in, day out, and really could kill you. So there's that threat, but the first remedy of overcoming being bitter is to forgive. It's that place where we let go of what we are mad about, what is causing the bitterness. Forgiving is like throwing water on a fire. The heat, the blood pressure rise that we feel in bitterness, that all just simmers down by uttering those simple words. They're not easy, but they're pretty simple. I forgive you. I forgive you. There is a whole video, and it's really worth watching because there's a lot to the whole action of forgiveness and what it is, what we're actually doing, what we're not doing. Certainly not excusing bad behavior, someone's unloving actions towards us. But it's forgiving is a way of setting us free from the bitter and stopping. And as I've seen really in science, the stress hormones stop dumping. And you begin to relax. You calm down within your whole body. Because those hormones that are being dumped are just getting you going in every direction. Get away, run, fight, flee. They don't let you rest. Saying, I forgive you to the one who hurt you is the beginning of the journey back to health. And so that's the call that we have from God himself. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Part of the prayer of the Our Father. And you might want to watch that video, When I Can't Forgive, because it does give you a lot of insights into doing something that sometimes is pretty hard to do. But it's for you, for your good. Bitterness, like unforgiveness, hurts you. And that my encouragement to you is there's something you can do about it. you can have a more enjoyable life. Your body will thank you if you just address it. It's hard. You don't want to let go. But if you do, your joy will return. And God is where the joy is. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. Hope you watch more of these. Take care. Bye-bye.